Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is my good friend, BDLG. Bordy, it's a late night, brother. It's a late night.
It is, man. It is. That's right, though. We're here. How's it going today, dude?
Good, man. We've been processing off air for, I don't know, a couple hours now. There's a lot of information that was put out this week about New World and all of the different big gaming websites got to try out the alpha, so they had all their opinions and facts about the game, which was really cool to go through with you, as well as we got some new information from New World themselves over the player housing in the game. So we got a chocked episode. That's not right. We have an episode
right.
chocked full of
yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, Bordy. So let's hop right in there, brother. We're going to start off with the official post from New World about the housing. Now, player housing was not initially in the alpha that was a year ago, right? So it's a new addition to the game that not a lot of people have played at this point. And so they went ahead and put out a full-blown article on it, which me and you both neither one of us are housing people, but we're extremely excited that the game has housing, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's great for the game, without a doubt.
So, making your mark on a tournament is the name of the article. If you guys haven't looked at it, it's over there on the New World website under the news column. It's the most recent post that was done on February 20th. And basically, they go through, again, something that not a lot of people were sure was going to be in the game, but I think a lot of people are going to enjoy, which is, again, you're going to have your own property, and you can own up to 3 properties total, which again is really, really cool. We're going to hit the high points here, Bordy. So home ownership 101. Again, at level 20, you're going to have the opportunity to own your first house. As long as you meet the requirements to own a house in a territory, and you don't have the maximum amount of houses you can buy in any territory, Bordy, any territory. Now, we processed this information a little bit last episode about owning a house in a different territory, or a territory owned by a different faction or a different company, which still is very complex and intriguing to me. And I think you feel the same way as well.
Yeah, it's done a little bit different, man. Excuse me. I had to take a little bit of time to process this myself, because at first it didn't make a lot of sense that you could be in a territory of a different faction. But now, as we've seen more information come out, it's making a little more sense to me, and I can see how this system's going to work. It's going to be pretty cool for sure. It's definitely going to be different. I've never seen anything quite like this in a game, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all works. I'm pretty stoked to get a house, man. There's a few cool things in here, but I'll let you keep going through the article. There's some unexpected things in the article that I didn't expect from player housing for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so again, it's going to be traditional. So you're going to have your own house. When you're inside of your own house, all of your decorations are going to be in there. Friends can come into your house, and you can go into other friends' houses. So that's really cool. You can have, friendly competitions, or even just enjoy being, in a house designed by your friend, or they can be in your house, et cetera, et cetera. There's varieties, different sizes, features, and costs. Some houses overlook the center of town, while others have balconies, that are near the settlement of the wall. Maybe you can see over the settlement walls. Some houses have exterior areas for decorating. They show pictures of like areas where you can plant flowers or maybe even crops, which is really cool. So again, this is a unique thing, I think, that not a lot of player housing has, which is an outside area, which is really cool that you'll have the opportunity to decorate.
Yeah, it's going to be dope, man. It reminds me a lot of BDO's housing system, in all honesty. The way it works, it's kind of like it's instanced housing, I guess, so that multiple people can own the same home. But whenever you walk in there, you only see what you have, unless you're invited into somebody else's house. It's pretty cool, man. And yeah, the courtyard type of stuff and the outside, and there's just the general aesthetics of the house from these screenshots look really dope, dude. It's good, man. This is a good thing for the game, without a doubt. I know all the hardcore PvPers are like, really housing, but dude, housing for the game is really, really good. This appeals to a lot of people, and it's going to be fun. Even for me as a hardcore PvP person, I enjoy having my place to call mine. You know what I mean? To decorate up. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So after purchasing a house, you can personalize your space. Obviously, we have hundreds of items you can customize in your home. Tables, chairs, etc., etc. Again, you're going to have other items that you can place in your home that you found looting, that you can loot in the world, which is awesome. Hopefully, like boss trophies or things that you get from drops of mobs will be really cool. On your adventures in a tournament, you can even find pets to bring into your home. That's really dope. People love pets, Bordy. It's a proven fact. It's almost science at this point. People love pets, Bordy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's proven, man. They make you live longer and reduce stress, right?
Yeah, yeah. Gary loves pets, man. He is a pet himself, and he also loves them. So that says a lot, about Gary, I guess. I don't know.
No one knows who Gary is, man.
Yeah, Gary's my dog. Sorry. Gary's my dog. He's on stream sometimes, Bordy. People from my stream and from YouTube, they know Gary, okay? They're aware. Okay. But if you're not familiar with Gary, he's a French bulldog and he's a little bit of a lazy dog, but we won't digress too much here. Housekeeping. Once you purchase a house, you must pay a small fee on tax to maintain it. So basically, it's going to be important to pay this tax because without it, you don't get the benefits of another important thing that they mentioned in this article, which is trophies. You have trophies inside your house that provide you with buffs out in the world in your adventures, which is really cool, Bordy. And it'll be interesting to see how you obtain these trophies, maybe in different ways. Maybe from crafting or whatever. Maybe you get a trophy and then that applies a crafting buff. It'll be cool to see what they can do there with that, but it's a really cool idea behind trophies for sure.
Yeah, this is one of the mechanics I was talking about earlier that was kind of unexpected for me. One of the things I didn't expect to see in housing is that you actually get buffs from the trophies. I think that's freaking awesome, man. And it does mention that there's going to be a limited number of trophies. So I would assume that you can have, maybe this is just a number I'm throwing out there. I don't know if it's going to be 5 trophies or 2 trophies or whatever, but you could probably have, a cumulative amount of those trophies across all 3 of your homes. So if you own 3 homes, you could only have 5 trophies active at once across all 3. So you could have 2 in one, 2 in one, and then 1 in the other home probably. That's how I see that working. But it's really dope that you get buffs off of those, and you get they're tying housing into the other aspects of the game, right? So it gives people a reason to own a home for the people who wouldn't otherwise be into that type of thing. And I think that's really cool. It gets all types of people involved. And then you also get buffs that was mentioned last week, I think, on our episode and in their settlements and governance article over on newworld.com. You get buffs from being a resident of particular settlements. So whoever your governor is, they decide what buffs you get. And then that, if you're a resident of that settlement, you get buffs there too. So there's all kinds of cool things they're doing with being a resident of a settlement. And I think that's really, really cool. Now, I would assume in that situation, since you can own 3 houses in 3 different settlements, I would assume that as a player, you'll have to pick one of those buffs from one of those settlements. That would be my guess. Surely you can't have all the buffs active from all the settlements, right? Or maybe you can. I don't know.
I would find that difficult to believe, because then why wouldn't everybody want to live in the same 3 settlements, right? I don't know. That would start to get broken at that point. I think more people would move to the powerful settlements or whatever.
Well, because everybody's not going to want a PvP, right? Or even combat. There's going to be people that are going to want buffs for crafting and buffs for other things, I would imagine.
Yeah, but it does seem like there will be a choice, right? There isn't just 5 buffs with trophies. So then hopefully you would think there also won't be just however many buffs from settlements too. So yeah, you make good point, Bordy. A rare but good point from you.
Hey, dude, good points. That's all I make is good points, bro. Yeah, I want to read this real quick, though, too. It says these trophies can do things like give you an advantage in combat against particular enemy types or improve your crafting skills. So there you go. That's the types of buffs you're going to get from trophies. Pretty cool, man. Yeah, I love that addition. Really cool. Huge, awesome addition to the game, without a doubt. I love it.
And I mean, this can really affect, again, your gameplay, where you want to live, what trophies you seek out. It's just any addition to the complexity of again, this housing system and the settlement system is well invited, and it should be by all players, because again, it looks like you're going to get PvP buffs, PvE buffs. So I think all of us should be excited about this. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's about all there is. About one quick note, there's a little bit of an internal competition, so to say. So if you own the same lot as somebody else or some other player, which is inevitable, then you are competing with them as far as decorations and everything goes, to have your house your house viewable when someone enters a settlement. So publicly, if they enter the settlement and your house is like the highest rated designed one, your house will be the one everybody sees when they come into the settlement, which is very unique to New World. I don't think I've ever seen that done before, which is really, really cool for those people who really get into housing.
Yeah, that was the second thing that I was talking about earlier whenever I was talking about things that were surprising about this housing system. That's one of them as well. And there are people out there, especially like think about ESO, Red, our time in ESO. How many people created
There was
housing
some amazing,
dude,
yeah,
people
amazing.
got yes, they got so deep into creating houses. And not for me personally, I don't spend my time in game doing a lot of housing stuff. I enjoy having my own place. I enjoy decorating it to an extent and having a place to go call home, put my stuff. That's cool. I like housing, but I don't get involved in it to that extent. But there are a lot of players that do. There's a select group of player base that really, really like they play a game specifically for housing. And I love that that's in the game because that's going to just draw in more players to the game. It's going to make the game healthier and bigger, and it's awesome. But before we move off housing, I think we forgot one really important part is that if you own a house, you can use it as a recall point. That's pretty important, man. So if you're out roaming around Eternum, if you're on the island somewhere, you can recall back to one of your homes as like a fast travel type of thing, which is cool. That's the first mention I've really heard of fast travel in New World. And I don't know if there's going to be like shrines or something kind of like ESO, or I haven't heard anything like that other than your houses. So that will play a factor as to where you want to live, I think, right? Like
Yeah.
I would think you would want to spread your houses out amongst settlements. Like you'd want one in the southern part, the mid part, and then the northern part so that you can fast travel around, or something like that would be cool. I think that'll play a big factor in where people own homes, man. I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be extremely important to have your recall spots near, again, like important points of interest. Maybe you're a PvP person, you want to have it closest to your, the most valuable territories you want to siege, and maybe open world PvP. It'll become very important to, have your recall close to those, hotspots and stuff. It'll be really cool to, again, have something like that again affects where you want to live. Not only are the taxes, the people that govern your territory, the faction that owns your territory, the campaign that owns your territory or your settlement, the buffs that you're getting, dude. The more information that leaks out or is released about, the settlements, this is going to be an epic addition to the game, or this is going to be a huge part of end game. It's going to be a huge part of any middle type of choices you're making with where you live and where you buy houses, because it seems like you're going to have to make some kind of financial investment to purchase a house. So it's going to be very important to think about, I'm investing X amount of money on this house. I really want to make sure that it's a place that I, want to live. And so like all these important choices that you're making just in this particular category in the game is really exciting, dude. It's really cool that they have depth like this already in the game.
Yeah, for sure. There's a screenshot there that shows the price of one of those houses is 2,000 gold. I don't know how
chump change, dude. I got it right.
Yeah, chump
dude.
change.
It's in my bank already, waiting for me, brother.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know if that could just be like some kind of placeholder screenshot or something. I don't know, but it says 2,000 gold for one house, and it says the property tax is 200 gold a week. So it looks like it's 10% of the purchase price is what your tax is per week, which is crazy.
That house looks ran down, dude. I mean, that's not.
Yeah, it looks.
Nice.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It does. And then it has the little tooltips there to decorate fast travel, trophy buffs. Really cool, man. The UI in this game, from the screenshots I've seen, does look really, really nice.
Clean.
Yes,
Clean.
And I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, brother. Let's move on from housing. We got, dude. Okay, so a massive amount of information was released through these four big, basically focused on PC gaming websites. But IGN covers a lot of different types of games, but so PC Gamer, IGN, MMORPG, and a German website, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the game because it will be wrong, even though I would love to give the name to you guys.
It's MEIN MMO. Mien MMO.
Yeah, so you're trying and failing, and that's
dude,
good on you.
I at least gave it an effort, man. That's more than I can say for you, dude.
Well, I mean,
lackluster
I
effort.
was humble and said, "There's no way I'm gonna pronounce this word correctly."
At least
So
gave it a shot, man. It's
yeah, I
you
mean,
miss 100% of the shots you don't take, bro.
and yeah, you 100% missed that shot.
How
So
do you know?
same
You
difference.
don't know how to say the word. I
Um,
might have got it right.
yeah, it sounds like Spanish when you say it, and I think it's a German website. So, moving on. So basically, dude, we're gonna lump all these together. Kind of hit the high points on what we read when we went through these. If we missed anything, leave something in the comments below. Also, guys, just while we're on that topic, 5-star ratings, guys. They're important to us. We love being in your guys' ears. And if you put a 5-star rating, we're going to read it on the air. And not only that, it helps us be searchable for other people who are looking for New World content. So, yes, thank you in advance for that. And back to the content matter. So basically, Bordy, we got, see, and we have 4 different articles to cover. So we again have summarized this for you guys. And we're going to start off with the combat. Now, this was an overarching positive thing in all 4 articles, at least the ones, we'll say 3, the ones that we could actually read. Combat is very good, very much like Dark Souls, which is, I think, exciting for most people who have played Dark Souls. The combat is something that is very unique, very skill driven, which I think almost everybody likes to have something that you can get better at and improve at, right? And again, you will have 3 skill bars. This is a new information. 3 skill bars, each with a different weapon on it, and each weapon has 30 skills that you can switch in between. So this is a big bit of information because this is again, combat is the spine of any type of game, and if it very much seems like from the information we got from all these, again, 4 different sites saying combat is very good. Bordy, how does that make you feel?
Good, man. I mean, I think I knew that already based on all the stuff that we've read up to this point, but I think seeing that across all 3, I mean, there were a couple of these articles that gave some negative points during their article, but every single one says the combat is great, and that's awesome. I think it's going to be amazing. The bar swapping, I like the bar swapping, and I like the fact that it's not something you have to unlock. It's there from the beginning. Like in ESO, man, they have bar swapping, but it's only 2 bars, and you unlock it at level 15. So you have to wait until level 15 before you get that ability, right? In this game, it's there from the beginning, which is awesome, dude. I love that. And you're gonna be able to mix up your play style so much with being able to swap 3 weapons, man. 3 weapons. That's crazy, dude. You're gonna be able to throw an axe and then switch to your bow and then hit somebody with a big hammer. Like, dude, it's gonna be dope. I can't wait to experience it.
And again, guys, this is another important note that was brought out in one of these articles as well, is that this is not tab targeting combat. This is very much swing and a miss type of combat. I think that one of the articles notes that he was an archer, and he noticed that, he, again, even seemingly to aim at something, he didn't always hit that target. And he also mentioned that within the siege, or the big combat areas, he was dodging arrows, which is another like really cool thought to think about, being evasive enough to move through, combat, and being very important with how you dodge and how you move about and how you guard yourself and positioning yourself. You can, evade damage, which is really, I mean, just again, adds to the level of skill it's going to be required to be effective in combat in the game.
Yeah, it's great. So that way you just can't have 50 archers sitting up on top of a tower, raining arrows down on you and never missing, right? Like, they actually have to aim and hit their targets, and then you can dodge arrows and get out of the way and whatever. So, a lot of MMOs that are action based, they're still not, their hit detection still isn't that, right? Like, you aim in the general vicinity, you shoot an arrow, and it goes and hits the person that you were semi aiming at. It doesn't seem like that at all in this game. It seems like hit detection is like spot on. You have to hit your target, and if you don't, you just don't. They can dodge out of the way, they can block it, they can see the projectile coming and move, and I love it, dude.
Dude,
It's gonna be great.
you just think, okay, 50 people's a lot. So you would just think about what it's going to be like sieging a territory and having 20 archers on the wall, shooting arrows out at your company as you're moving forward, and think of how many, like, having 10 to 15 to 20 shield bearers out in front blocking these like barrages of arrows coming at you. It's going to create these awesome atmospheres and gameplay videos that I think we're going to see that aren't rivaled in the MMO genre right now, which is going to be really, really cool to experience for the first time,
Yeah, I think so. I think the MMO experience, we talked about this a little bit before the podcast, and I think we're both on the same page here, in that we think that the MMO experience of New World is going to be unlike any other that we've seen to date. Like, and I truly believe that too. With the style of combat this game has, the three bars that you can use, the variations of play styles that we're going to have, the 50v50 battles, their even numbers, I think the experience we're going to get out of that is going to be unlike anything that we've had up to this point, and it's going to be awesome. I get excited talking about it, man. Like, I'm ready to jump in and play. It's going to be fun.
Well, and that's the important thing is, like, good or bad, it's going to be worth experiencing, because again, there isn't going to be much like the New World as a game, and so to me as a gamer, whether it's MMOs or first-person shooters or whatever, experiencing something new for the first time that a game has never done is like a really big thing, right? Because again, it just progresses the entire genre forward. And maybe, who knows, this 50v50 thing may be enough to carry a game on its own. But we know from our research and even the podcast episodes we put out, it's going to have much more than that as well. So it's exciting, man, for sure. So again, here, and we're going to hit a low point here. We were really hyped about the combat. PvE and questing is lackluster and repetitive. Bordy, have you ever played, and you know how I feel about questing anyways, no matter how good it is, but have you ever played an MMO where the PvE is and questing is lackluster and repetitive?
No, never, man. That's
never?
That's not a thing.
By never, do you mean
you
almost
me,
always?
Every MMO on the market, man. Yeah, who cares, man? Who cares, dude? Listen, okay, listen. There are games out there that have amazing quests. ESO is one of them. I keep referencing ESO because that's the MMO we were on right before this one. And ESO has some of the greatest quests I've ever played in an MMO ever. They're
voice
all
acted.
Voice acted.
Yeah.
I cannot praise them enough for that type of content they provide. However, what that does for that MMO is that puts you in a single player environment in the MMO. You do not want to go and quest with someone else, because Red, whenever you and I tried to quest together, it doesn't go very well.
It's awful. And by very well, you mean awful.
Yeah, because I wanted to take time to listen to the story. You wanted to rush through it. And I'm not a big quester either, but if I'm going to quest, I'm going to at least try to listen to it, right? And you were just skipping through and rushing ahead, and I wanted to listen. And it's like, it doesn't make for a very good multiplayer environment, right? Like, it just doesn't. So whenever you quest in that game, because the quests are so in depth, it's a single player game. And then the MMO aspects come only whenever you're doing like the other things in the game, like dungeons or, your instanced content. That's the only time you really play with other players, right? So not knocking ESO, it's a fantastic MMO, but who cares if the quests are not good, man? Let's get quests, let's get introduced to the game, and then let's not ever have to do another quest ever. That's my opinion. I know there are people out there who love questing, and that's cool. If that's your cup of tea, that's fine. It's not mine. I don't think it's yours either, Ed. And I would much prefer to get in there and just play the game and enjoy it with other people. Like it's an MMO, you know what I mean? I want to play it like an MMO.
Now, to take it back a little bit here. Okay, so people's main concern is that they made a point to double back and pick up PvE, right? From the previous alpha till now. It concerns a lot of people, and rightfully so, probably, that they've spent this time on the PvE and it's not that great. So yes, that would be concerning if you are a PvE focused person and you want questing. What's being missed, I think, a lot is that the PvE that this game offers, or the pinnacle of PvE, is not really questing. It is uh, player settlements. It is owning property. It is really good crafting, which I do know a lot of people who like PvE and stuff are crafters, right? They want to support. They want to create the best chest armor in the game. They want to create the best weapons in the game. They want to be part of a war machine. You know what I mean? They want to be a pillar of a guild, but not by competing in these 50v50 campaigns. They want to be a pillar in a way that their crafting has made like this huge difference or has created this big deficit between their campaign and other campaigns. And that's very much in the game still. The player or the economy is player driven. So the only way that can be possible is if crafting and gathering are very important parts of the game, Bordy. And that is PvE in my opinion. And that, and that is still in the game. And I would believe to be a very big part of the in-game PvE experience.
Yeah, exactly. But you're also in that situation. They're playing their role. They're playing their part, right? They're not running around just questing single player and really not affecting anything to speak of the game. And I want to make something real clear. I am not knocking that at all, man. I love DSO. Their quests were amazing, but for New World, to me, it just doesn't fit what New World's trying to do. Like, it's not the type of game that in my opinion, you want really crazy in-depth questing, right? Like, it just doesn't fit this style of game to me. I don't think it's a big deal that it's lackluster. Like, yes, I get that the PvE aspects of it, like actually fighting mobs, might not be the greatest, but let's take a step back and think why that might be, right? Do you think it's because there's no instance dungeons that you have to coordinate together to go fight stuff? Like, is that why these people are saying that it's lackluster? Because let's be real, in other MMOs, you go out and you fight open world mobs. There's nothing like crazy exciting about that, right? Like, I mean, you're out fighting mobs to level up and get loot. Like, there's nothing really hard or challenging or you know what I mean? Like, so what's different? Why is it so lackluster in this game versus others? And the only thing I can come up with is because there's not like instanced raids that you're doing that require a lot of coordination and skill, maybe. I don't know.
Well, there have been a lot of good points made to even people in BDO, which is a very popular open world, MMO, very successful open world MMO, and people still to this day ask for instance dungeons and raiding. A lot of PvE driven people like that to be an experience in an MMO. And personally, I hope they don't ever go in that direction. I would like to see more expansion in the open world category, which is, again, we talk about the combat being like Dark Souls. Let's bring in a big world boss that has all these Dark Soul boss mechanics that are like super deadly. That if you don't dodge or parry one of the attacks, you die, and it takes 50 people's worth of damage to take it down. Stuff like that. It can easily be added to the game, I think. And again, just take the PvE to a different level, something we've never experienced in gaming before, which is what I expect from Amazon as a developer, right? We can beat this horse dead. Amazon has a lot of money, and we expect new experiences from Amazon. We don't want World of Warcraft to release in 2020. We want to see something, that presses the boundaries of a video game, let alone an MMORPG. So,
yeah, exactly. One of the things on that same topic, real quick, before we get off of it, is that here's one sentence right here from one of these articles. It says right here that the team emphasized they didn't want to create a large map just for the sake of it. They wanted to fill it with meaningful encounters and discoveries to ensure your time in game is not wasted. It's hard to walk for more than a few seconds in one direction without finding enemies' chests or long collapsed relics of a time gone by. So to me, that's what you want in an MMO, right? Like, you're running around the world, and from a PvE standpoint, you're running around the world and you're getting involved in stuff at every turn, right? Like, there's not the PvE. I haven't experienced it, so I don't know why they're calling it lackluster. But to me, whenever you're running around the world exploring places, and you're running into meaningful encounters at every turn, seems pretty good to me. I don't know what else you could ask for other than instanced dungeons and raids, and I don't want to see it go in that direction either. But to me, it seems, I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see for ourselves, man.
So here, these are really quick points, and as we kind of, this is a transition to our next topic. The world sizes will be about 2,000. So each server will have about 2,000. They're kind of toying with the number between 1 to 2, but they think 2 is going to be close to where they're going to start, and they will titrate based off of how fun the gameplay feels. So again, the servers will be relatively small, I think, for compared to like their games now that have super servers that basically one server houses like lots of people. Also, again, this is important along the point you just made. They mentioned this in the MMORPG article, which is a really good article. You guys should go check that out for sure. Exploration. So the guy decided to, instead of go press forward like a lot of people were trying to do in the alpha, he decided to explore, and that was rewarded. So basically, he mentions like that he found a piece of armor that no one else had gotten at that point in the game. He had also leveled into a skill that no one else had obtained at that point in the alpha either. So he, again, this is really good PvE material, I think, as far as back before your what is it called? Good night, Bordy. Drawing a blank here. Theme park. Before theme park MMOs existed, a lot of it was about going out there in the world and just finding different locations that no one else had been to, or whether it's a really cool grind spot, or maybe there's like a skull in the back of a cave that started a quest line that people hadn't found. Stuff like this is, again, PvE content. And in my opinion, it's good PvE content, because if you want to go out and explore the world and experience the intricacy of every little nook and cranny of Eternum, you're going to be rewarded for that, which is awesome, I think.
Yeah, and remember, we have the ancients who have all kinds of technology that nobody knows what happened to them, and there's technology from them scattered around the entire island for us to just go find and explore and get there. So it seems to me like there's a lot of stuff to do from the PvE side of things that you don't even have to. And one of the articles even states you don't necessarily have to even PvP at all if you don't want to. You can contribute in so many different ways, and you can do so many different things that opting into PvP or even participating in the wars is something that you really don't have to do, which I think is fine, man. I think it's fine. I think if they can get a good balance of both to appease both sides, dude, I think they're on the right track. Seems like they're on the right track to me. I like all of these articles that we've read. Everything we've read has been overwhelmingly positive, except for the mention of the lackluster PvE and questing, which we just beat that to death. So.
Right. And again, we're not saying, and it's hard to please everybody, right? And it is a little bit concerning that they spent a year adding this particular feature in the game and it may not be that great. Here's what's important to note again, and I've probably said this ad nauseum. It's alpha, okay? They have time to add quests or a quest line or 2 or 3 or 4 or 50 to the game to improve that particular area, especially from the feedback they're getting from PC Gamer and IGN. These are big names in the gaming space. They're going to take this feedback to heart, and they're going to come back and answer it. I do believe that personally. Okay, so moving on to the 50v50 battles, and this is, again, the main feature as far as PvP goes and in-game PvP goes. And here's another positive note, guys. They say it's very good. So, again, guys, combat is good. The the main in-game PvP experience is good. So you're moving into a 50v50 battle, and they talk about all these epic experiences that they had throughout this battle. And we mentioned a little bit at the top of the show or in the middle of the show when we just started talking about the weapons and everything. But Bordy, this is good to hear, man. This is one of the main things in the game I'm looking forward to is the sieges, and we gotten good reviews of that so far. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think the sieges are going to be dope, man. I like the 50v50 idea. I think that it's going to be fun. I like the way the sieges work too, and that you have to plan these things out so So for me, a person who works, I work full time. I have a wife. I have 2 kids. I have other things going on in my life, man. Like I can't sit in front of the computer for 12 hours a day and sit here and wait for something to be sieged, right? But what we can do is, as a company, we can schedule, hey, we don't want to be sieged until 10 o'clock at night, and then we can gather our troops and we can actually participate and enjoy the game the way it was meant to be enjoyed. So I like the system, man. I do like that style. Now if I was one of those people that could sit here for 12, 14 hours a day and do nothing but play New World, then I would be wanting to siege all the time. Excuse me. But I think the vast majority of people that game are not. They don't fall into that category, right? They don't fall into the no life category. They fall into the I have other things to do. I can only play for a couple hours a night type of category. So you want those people to enjoy the game too, and why shouldn't they?
Right. You're having the opportunity again to plan these out. Your company or whatever owns, you can set your siege windows. So, and for me and Bordy and our company, quick plug for that. Come join us over there at studioloot.com Discord. We're starting to put together a company, guys. We're going to do it. We're going to start assigning roles. We're going to get that role, and we're going to be prepared for that closed or beta. We're going to go hard, right, Bordy? We're going to get in there. We're going to do 50v50 battles. We're going to do everything we possibly can to kind of get organized there. So come join us over there at studioloot.com. Link in the Discord, or link in the channel for the Discord. Link in the description for the channel of the Discord. Still not good. We'll move forward. So basically, again, you're gonna have these siege windows. We would set ours like between the hours of 9 and midnight in Central Standard Time, and we're always gonna get to defend our territory. We're always gonna get to determine when we do that. We're never gonna have to miss that while we're at work or anything, which are again very positive things.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. And then all of the things that was stated in the article is just, again, some of the stuff we rehashed about combat is that the combat's just really fun. So that makes the 50v50 siege battles really fun. And I know that you were mentioning earlier before stream that you've seen some arguments about people saying, well, 50v50, making those fair number fights is going to be difficult. And it's going to be one-sided a lot of times because you're going to have these guilds that are hyper organized with their guild, and then you're going to have another guild that tries to siege that's not, and so nobody will ever be able to take that settlement. And I'm not sure how true that is. I don't know that that's going to be a thing, because you also have the invasions that are going to happen. And if I had to guess, I would say that Amazon has probably thought about that. Like these aren't people who they have such a large team that surely they've thought about those types of things, right? And mechanics to put in place that's like, okay, or maybe they want it that way. Maybe they want like, okay, they should be rewarded for being so organized type of thing. I don't know. Either way, I would rather fight 50v50 than I would fight 1,000v50. That's boring, dude. Nobody wants to get zerged down in a siege, man. That's boring gameplay. I don't want to be in a company or whatever that just happens to not have the numbers as some humongous 1,000-person zerg, and then what that's not fun, man. That's not fun for anyone. So I am excited about the 50v50 even sieges, and from what we've seen on these articles, it's been nothing but positive. Even on the articles that weren't so positive about the game, the siege battles have been the highlight, and that gets me excited. I think they're going to be a lot of fun, man.
Now, okay, so the fear is that you have maybe like, we'll just an example, House SL 1, House SL 2, House SL 3, House SL 4, and we control 4 particular settlements or territories on the server. People are worried about that, but there's no way to prevent that, right? I mean, that's just going to happen. There's going to be that going on, and that could be a concern. But I would assume if that is a problem, then there will be ways to figure it or mitigate that. And then if not, then sure, that server isn't fun. But they're gonna have multiple servers that you can play on. I guess at this point you're gonna have the opportunity to choose what server you play on. So, and there'll be a ways around that. We're not exactly sure on those mechanics that they're going to use to kind of mitigate that. But at this point, we're in 2020. I'm sure they've planned on that type of, If we thought about it, then they thought about it. That's my stance on that.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree 100%. But I think their solution for that is the invasions, right? Because we do know that
Yes.
whenever an invasion happens, a settlement can level down, right? And we also know that whenever you level up your settlement, you get better defenses with your fort, right? Like you can
Right.
level up your defenses, you can make your fort stronger, you can make things stronger. So whenever you get hit by these invasions because you're getting so strong, I would assume that at some point you get really, really strong, and then the invasions are like almost impossible to hold off, right? So I would assume that that's going to knock your
I
settlement
hope that
way back
that's the way it
down.
is. Yeah.
I think that's the way I envision it anyway. And then
Or what if they
that would
come
be the
very more
window,
frequently? They
right?
they
Or something.
mentioned
Yeah.
that you can't be rated by players. You have to set a siege window from players, but it didn't say anything about you set siege windows from the corrupted. That'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see if they come when you're not playing, or if they, you know.
Right. And I think that may be their way of mitigating these people from getting ridiculously strong and holding those settlements forever and ever is the excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time tonight. I'm little stopped up, but that's I think that's the plan, right? Like that's the feature is that those invasions are going to get so difficult that it's going to knock those settlements down or those forts down to really low level, and then that's your window to go attack. That's the way I would see it happening. It makes sense to me. It makes sense in my mind.
And we've mentioned, okay, so this is really big because there's been a lot of tri-factioned warfare in MMO history, right? Like there's a lot to even name. Right now, specifically, Guild Wars 2 and Elder Scrolls Online are both in using this same type of faction system. So this is one thing that, again, that's another thing that's unique to New World, I guess, is that they have a way, possibly, we don't know 100% if they're going to use this way, but it very well seems in the descriptions that I've been reading is that they're going to use this to mitigate this factor, which is what happens when one faction gains too much power or one particular guild is too strong. And if they can use these like relentless forces of NPCs to come and raid these territories and take them down a notch to where then the next siege that happens, if they can't get the defenses built back up in time, they're going to go in undermanned, right? Or they're going to have less defense. That could be, number one, epic. It'd be really cool to see how big the corrupted presence gets around these really powerful territories. And it'll be cool to watch, like, what is this experience going to be like? Maybe, Bordy, this could be the raiding experience in New World, is that these corrupted, populations grow so much that now here is your company or your group of faction players now have to go through this raid-like experience, but it's forced, man. These people are trying to take your home away from you. It's not you going into an instance 25-man raid and trying to kill this boss for loot. The boss is coming for you, Bordy, and they're gonna take your house and your children and your wife. And that's probably not, that part is not true, but still, dude, this could be a very well, again, another new experience that we've never had in an MMO before.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so real quick, these notes before we kind of wrapping down the episode. They've named the three factions that you're going to be able to join: the Marauders, who are a raw, powerful, and ruthless military force; the Syndicate, which a little should we foreshadow this now, Bordy, or maybe we want to keep it under
we're
our
gonna
vest,
we're
dude?
no, we're gonna be the
Okay.
syndicate. Yeah, we're just gonna say.
Yeah. House SL, or whatever the name of our guild is going to be the Syndicate. It's a secret organization full of guile and cunning. And then the last but not least, the Covenant. Believe they have a divine right to a tournament and want to cleanse the land of heretics and defilers. So yeah, they finally named those. So now we get to choose between those three as a player on which one we want to join, and that's going to be super excited. I can't wait to see more about that. Also, there are 5 progressive systems in New World, and this is important to mention as we kind of cover most of this stuff. Is that New World has a weapon mastery system. They have a trade skill system. They have faction reputation, which is something you want to grind out. Another is territory standing, and then finally the PvP elder game, which is our 50v50 battles. So again, this is cool to speculate about all these things. It'll be interesting to see how important these are. We've already mentioned that you can get buffs from where you live and what territories you inhabit. So it'll be cool to see what all these kind of bring as far as you know, player diversity or what choices are important as you kind of navigate your way through a tournament. And so we already know that there's 30 skills on each weapon. So, you know, the weapon mastery system could be, what if you have to choose, Bordy? You have to choose one skill that you can master, kind of like in your beloved, you know, UO, where you can only master one skill out of the 30, and then you have some, like, you know, some type of elevated ability with that skill that you mastered.
Yeah, I don't know how that system works yet, but we'll find out soon enough, I guess.
All right, guys. So that about covers the highlights. There is a lot of information to process through there, so I suggest, you know, if you guys are interested, go check those out, as well as we'll be covering this topic matter over at studioloot.com throughout the week. So if you're interested, go over there and check for updates as well. So again, guys, New World is going to be something we haven't experienced before. I firmly believe that. And so I think it's just important to keep an open mind as we get more and more information. It just seems like we can't compare this to other MMOs. We can't say that this is going to be, this was like Rust and now it's not. Or we wanted World of Warcraft and this is not World of Warcraft. Guys, we want, again, a new experience in the MMO genre. And I think this is going to give it to us. The Dark Souls combat mixed with all these 50v50 battles and player housing and stuff. It's going to be really, really cool. And here's a quote from the devs that I thought was really cool that we're going to kind of wrap this up on. They aren't worried about fitting their game into the rules that exist in specific genres. Rather, they just want to make a fun game. And guys, if we have fun playing New World, I think that's the most we can expect, right? That's what we all want out of a video game, is to have fun. So I think we're going to get that out of New World for sure. Bordy, it's been another episode, bud. Why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet?
Sure, man. You can find me on Twitter over at the BDLG, on YouTube. I'm pumping out quite a bit of New World content over there. It's at the BDLG as well. And then you can find me over at Twitch. It's just twitch.tv/BDLG. And then creating content over at studioloot.com.
Yes, and I am Redbird. That is with a Y. I'm over at Twitch and YouTube under the same name. You can find me on Twitter at I am Redbird. Also, Instagram, Bordy. I've been posting some you know, epic model like pictures on Instagram. You know, I'm trying to become an Instagram model in my spare time. You know, my wife.
I don't have an Instagram.
I mean, it's just pictures, man. Pictures with comments. You know,
Yeah.
It's a lot like every other social media platform. But you know, I'm messing with it. You know.
Okay.
All right. Maybe, dude, we need to create some cool dad TikToks. Okay, me and you. That's what we need to do. We need to go over to the TikTok platform, make some cool dad dancing TikToks. And we're off the rails, so we're gonna end it here. Thanks again for listening, guys. Don't forget to rate the podcast. We're very thankful for you guys listening to us each week. And we look forward to seeing you next time on another episode of New World to Go.